Hello, I'm Greg Montgomery. Welcome to ARTcast 101. Today I've got a project for high school students that begins on the computer and ends with painting. It should be fun because it'll give students a chance to use technology, to use their own image in an interesting way, and to get some color mixing and painting skills as well. So let's take a look at the final product here and we'll go through the steps to make it. Okay, here it is. You might not notice right away that this is me, a self-portrait, but it certainly is, albeit a bit distorted in shape and color. And that's the fun of it. It's not your typical self-portrait. You can see that the image has been reduced to just a few levels of color, giving it a posterized effect like some of the stylings that pop artists used. One of the ideas of this lesson is to give students a chance to see how using the computer does not have to be a means to an end within itself, nor do traditional art media projects have to begin in the studio. Technology can be a powerful part of the process of art making. So let's jump right in and talk quickly about what materials and tools we'll need for this project. So we'll need a 9x12 canvas board, some acrylic paints, a few paint brushes, a sheet of transfer paper, some tape, and a pen or pencil. Not shown here is a computer with a built-in camera. I'll be using a Mac computer with the programs Photo Booth and Adobe Photoshop. Now you can still do this project with a PC, but you'll need to find an alternative to Photo Booth, which is not made for the PC. An internet Google search for a Photo Booth alternative will bring up many suggestions, including some free web-based applications like Scenely and Cameroid. Okay, let's start with step 1 by using the computer to take our picture. As soon as you launch the Photo Booth program, the camera should activate, and in a moment we'll see an image of my face. I'll turn on a distortion effect of my choice, and once I get the pose I like, I'll take a picture. I suggest taking a few shots with different poses and possible different effects, so you've got a few to choose from when we go to the next step. After a few images have been taken, create and name a folder for the images on the desktop, and drag the images out of Photo Booth and into the folder so they will stay organized as we make changes. Instruct your students to place this new folder wherever is best for you as the teacher so that you can find their files. We can close the Photo Booth window at this time. Open all of your self-portrait photos in Adobe Photoshop. I'm using version CS4, so options and tools may be in a different place in the version that you are using. Depending on the lighting conditions while taking pictures, you may need to adjust the tone, color, and contrast of each of your images. You can find these options in the Image menu. When these adjustments are complete, let's save those changes through the File menu, saving over our original files now that they are color corrected. Next, let's use the cutout filter to posterize our images into 7 or 8 levels of color. Select Filter in the menu bar, and then choose Artistic, and then Cutout. The settings that I used were Number of Levels, 8, Edge Simplicity, 4, and Edge Fidelity, 3. Click OK, and let's repeat this for each of our images. Don't forget to save your images along the way at each step. From now on, with the File menu, choosing Save As, and adding a sequential number to the name of the file so we create a new file and we don't save over anything we might want to go back to later. At this point, we need to choose a favorite image and proceed with just that one. As an additional nice effect, take the image to the last creative step by modifying it from a natural skin tone to a monochromatic color scheme. To do this, in the menu bar select Image, choose Adjustments, and then Hue Saturation. In the box that appears here, focus on using the Hue slider to change the image to any color the student wishes. You can also use the saturation and lightness options if so desired. Finalize the image by clicking OK. Save your image. And finally, so that the image can be printed as a color reference, we'll need to enlarge the image to 8.5 by 11. Double-click on the crop icon in the Photoshop toolbar, and set the crop size to 8.5 inches wide and 11 inches tall. Drag your crop tool over your image to produce your 8.5 by 11 image. Adjust your bounding box as necessary to frame the image nicely. Click the crop tool again and click OK to complete this process. This will not only enlarge the image to the correct size, but will also orient the image to a vertical portrait layout. Save the image. The last step on the computer is to print the image onto paper. In the menu bar, click on File, and then select Print. In the box that appears, you may need to select the printer you intend to use if it does not appear automatically. We will use this print to help transfer the image to our canvas board and also as a color reference for painting in later steps. In this next step, we'll use transfer paper to trace the image onto the canvas board. Place a sheet of transfer paper between your print and board. You may notice that your print is slightly smaller than your canvas board. Align the print to the board wherever it makes the most sense, and tape the sheets to the board. Trace over the lines and shapes in your image. And use the color reference print to label sections of color on your board with letters and numbers to mark and identify each color section. Remove the print and transfer paper when done tracing, and improvise any incomplete lines. Completing this step will make your canvas board look very much like a paint-by-numbers project. It's time to paint now. You will need to decide where to begin on your monochromatic number scale. Consider how dark your color scheme for your image is and what number you should begin with right out of the bottle. For my painting, since blue is a darker color, I use the blue out of the bottle as my number 5 out of 7 values. In other words, I added black to areas 6 and 7 and white to areas 1 through 4. Lighter color schemes could start out of the bottle at a lower number on the value scale. And don't forget while color mixing that it takes much less black to darken a color than it takes white to lighten a color. Here are a couple of tips to wrap things up. The canvas boards are nice because they are much cheaper than stretched canvas and they don't curl like rolled canvas. But I did have to paint each area with a second coat so that the paint didn't appear blotchy. Make sure students mix enough paint to cover each numbered section twice, which is actually not all that much because acrylics can go a long way. It would be best to use containers that seal to store the mixed paints so they don't dry out. And finally, I would spray the final painting with a matte finish to take the glare off the acrylics and to protect the project as well.
So that's it, we're done. Here's a quick replay of images that showcase the process from start to finish. This lesson provides a great opportunity to talk about color vocabulary words like monochromatic, hue, value, intensity, tint, and shade. Hopefully this project also demonstrates to both teacher and students how the computer can be a great tool in the process of art making. Thanks for joining me today on ARTcast 101. See you next time.